Thanks everyone for coming back for another episode of the podcast. You all are in for a big treat today. Did you hear me say y'all? Because the girl I am going to be interviewing today, I should say girl, maybe I should say girl for sure. Alfie Rowan of Rowan Hall Interiors in Knoxville. We are so glad to have you here, Alfie, because I think the audience is just going to fall in love with you, just like I have after working with you for a little while. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, about your business, and when you started?
Thanks, Pam. Thanks for having me. Good to see you today. Yes, I'm Alfie Rowan, and I started doing design work with Rowan Hall Interiors that I founded 25 years ago. And
See, young girl, you're just
I
a young
know
girl.
I was 10, and but I started really small when my children were small, and I was a stay-at-home mom. And it started being small projects, and it grew, and my knowledge grew, and here we are, 25 years later, doing much larger projects and bigger things. We're working out of Knoxville. We do a few projects around elsewhere if we need to. We'll travel. We've done several in Florida. We've done a few in Georgia, a few in Kentucky, and we'll go wherever we're wanted. But most of our work is in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we're a small team. We've got sometimes around five. We have some people who do flex work,
Mhm.
and it works out really well. It just seems to be happening.
It's always, it's all a process, no matter what's happening in our business. But one of the things that I wanted to let everyone know, one of the things that I love so much about you, well, first of all, hopefully it's going to come out in this episode. But Alfie has quite the sense of humor, and she is so funny. And we will definitely, if she allows us to, we will definitely let you all know where you can find her on social media because she's really stepped into that humor. And I think and it's working for her. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But one of the things that I love about you, Alfie, is that you're aware that you have blind spots. And what I mean by that, you're aware that there's some things, habits that you keep coming back to where, you might want to take on everything that comes along, or you want to help people as much as you can. And when people talk about they might not have the budget that you want to be working in, that you'll try to work with them, you'll try to hedge your projects and your fees to help them, but you're really becoming so much more aware of your blind spots. And in fact, on all the calls, you're like, I already know what I should be doing, but I need you ladies to help me to just like make me, stand my ground. So I think just understanding your blind spots is
Yes.
such a huge like skill.
What blind spots, Pam?
What? I don't see anything. There's no.
Yeah. And the fact that I'm a slow learner. That's the other joke, that
You
I'm a
say
slow
that, but you're
learner.
really not. You're really
Oh
not.
gosh. I like to repeat my mistakes about 12 times before I finally get them. And that's why I already know what you're going to tell me. You're going to say, no, Alfie, don't do it. And sometimes I just need that extra nod. But yes, I
But it's
definitely,
good to know. I mean, once recognizing that there's patterns that we all kind of, circle back to.
yes.
And even now, you're almost like walk in saying, I already know what you're going to say, which is awesome because, I love being, the little angel on your shoulder saying, what would Pam say if you went back to her and said, I'm going to do this thing, right? And so I think that's like a huge thing. And then the other things that I love about you, which is you're very giving. Like in the group, you have no ego, no problems sharing exactly where things are or how you handle things in your own business, which, in a group setting is really, it's a lot of the collective brain trust that really
Yes.
happens. It's not my 30 years experience, but it's all the other people's experience. So now we're up to 150, 200 years experience when you put everyone in a room. So I thank you for that, for being just really giving and accessible, because I think that really changes the energy in the group. And then the third thing is you're going to laugh. Alfie's willing to fire a client. Alfie is so willing to fire a client. God love her. We talk
Warning.
about this. We talk about this quite a bit, but hopefully she's getting to the point where she's going to stop firing clients because she's loving every single one of them. But that we're going to kind of dive into some of those things later in the podcast. But how do you feel about what I just said? That you really are willing to fire a client?
Well, it's a goal not to want to have to do that anymore. That's what I'm trying to do. This old dog is trying to learn new tricks of
Yes.
only letting the right people in the door. And that's something you have been very helpful about. And also, just the group dynamic in general of knowing I'm going to have to report that I've done it again is a shameful process. So there's some accountability there
Yeah.
that,
It's the good peer pressure, as I call it. It's good.
yeah, that's a great way to describe it. It really
Mhm.
is. But yeah, I know I'm going to have to report back to you, and I'm going to be mortified if I've done it again. So, yeah, and that was my goal at the beginning of the year. If you recall, when you asked us to think about our goals, that was an amazing exercise, or kind of on our projects. And I know
Mhm.
I'm going off kilter already because that's the
That's okay. I
ADD.
think that's a really important thing that we do talk about is we talk
Yeah,
about what your goals are for yourself and for your business, and then how are you going to get there, right?
yeah. It was mine after, and it was an exercise you actually asked us to do, and it was about the size of our client. And I realized that I had a third of my clients I loved, would love to see them again. A third, and you helped me to identify this, a third that were just fine. We were profitable. They were enjoyable experiences. The work turned out great. And then there were a third that I wanted them to lose my phone number.
Yeah. When are we done? Can you?
Let's
Yeah.
get out of this.
Yeah.
And so that's what I call the ditch. So my goal for this year was to stay out of the ditch. And thanks to you, ran my profit numbers on those. And what I found out was those clients that I did not enjoy working with were, generally speaking, the lower budget clients, where we just didn't have sufficient funds to do what needed to be done. And I should have recognized that. Some of them were people where it wasn't a great personality fit, where I had clients that were a little harder than others.
Hmm.
And, then you have some mistakes in there. But that was, so I thought if I could just, and my profitability on those three jobs was so much, was tiny. I could have avoided so many headaches
Yeah.
and could have um, been so much happier dealing with those or looking for more of those people that were amazing. That top third, I should have spent my resources there. So I've been really trying to do that this year, and
Hmm.
you guys have been a great resource in pushing me along that path and helping me to stay out of the ditch. So that's
I think
I
we
don't know
got
if
our
that's a great
catchphrase for
goal.
this. I think we got our catchphrase for this
Yes,
episode. Stay out of the ditch.
I've been using it all
See,
year.
took her a minute to warm up, you guys. She was like formal Alfie right in the
Oh,
beginning, but now we're getting to it, which is so
oh, okay,
awesome
gotcha.
because you're
Yes,
gonna
it's
love,
just
love, love.
yes,
Yeah.
and I say that when I'm going to new appointments, I have to talk myself out of that. I have to go when I'm going to because I get excited. I'm a great starter.
Yeah.
I get excited about everyone we're going. I'm like, oh, it's a new project, and it could be amazing, and it could be in a magazine, and it could be great, and it's going to be fabulous. And so now, when I'm on my way to an initial consultation, I actually go through and I kind of talk myself down a little bit and say, make sure you want this. Don't play it too hard. Don't reach. Don't. Goes back to the boundaries we talked about. But don't work too hard to appease
Convince. Hmm.
or convince them that you just need to really evaluate if this is a good fit for you and what you want to be doing right now. So yeah, I'm trying to yeah,
Yeah.
and that stay out of the ditch. Stay out of the ditch.
Yeah, I mean, I think you bring up a good point is that we all get excited when there's like a new project. We got like new project energy, right? It's like, ooh, something fresh, something new. Because, as creatives, creating is the number one thing that we want to do.
Yeah.
But I think what you're doing now is it's not that you're taking down your energy, but I think that you're probably being more present to really to not be blinded by the energy of let's get this job because it could be fun, but more like let me listen to what is actually being said here. Let me
Hmm.
listen to what the clients are telling me. Let me understand the words about budget and, things they've done in the past and how they've had relationships with maybe other designers or done other projects. I think that that's where you've changed your approach is you're still excited, but you're also looking at it more like a business person and also not being sort of blinded by the emotion of excitement, but being in the moment saying, what are we really seeing here so that I can properly evaluate this opportunity?
Absolutely. Yes. In fact, it was interesting. I had a note of that yesterday where it was nice that I recognized it. I think part of what you've done really well is training me to look for those spots. And I was meeting with someone, and this was just for a paint consultation, so it wasn't actually an evaluation for a client meeting. But in that meeting, I noticed the energy in the room between the people, for
Mm,
one, was not a great energy feeling.
yeah.
Number two, I noticed how they were hyper focused on one little detail of something in their home that hadn't been done correctly. And it's something that they had already tried to correct it 3 times to, and I'm not even joking that it would not have even crossed my mind that that was a problem.
Yeah.
And they were hyper focused on that. And I thought, oh my, I am not ever going to be able to make you happy. And so that wasn't one, they weren't asking to be meet up to be their designer, but
But you
uh,
didn't take it to that next level that
I
you may
didn't even
have,
try.
right?
I just
Yep.
said, here's a great color for you and
Yeah.
it'll look great and thank you and have a great day.
And see you.
And made a note of that, just mental note that that's probably something I need to watch for because yeah, this
100%.
yep. It's been nice to be able, I guess they say the first sign is to recognize the
Yeah.
problem. At
Yeah.
least I'm starting to see them now.
Acknowledgement or,
Yes.
awareness is the first step. But this is so great for those that are listening is as you're going through your discovery meetings, either on the phone or in person, really watch the dynamic between the two people that, maybe if you're talking to two people,
Mhm.
how they relate to each other. Because also, especially in these first meetings, they're on their best behavior. You're getting their best behavior because it's one of the first times they're meeting you. Once they get more comfortable, it's going to get more loose from there. So just
Mhm.
really paying attention. I always say designers have like such a great level of, well, we deal with levels of detail, that no one would else would notice, but it means something to us, right? And
Yep.
Alfie's a true testament to that because she loves every tiny little detail that she did all the way down to all the trims and all the beautiful colors and everything. So we can use those powers of observation in our work as we're evaluating clients. Check the dynamic between any of the parties involved in that are going to be involved in this process. Check the words, listen for the words that they're saying. If they keep talking about budget, but we haven't even discussed really what we're doing, that's first of all, you have to be noticing that that's a concern. So it has to be addressed pretty early on. But then
Mhm.
what does that mean future down the line? And to your point, when you see people, still talking about a detail that maybe is a couple years old and they still can't get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
That's not going to
big
be a great referral for me. They're
no.
not. I'm going to be the name that gets mentioned on every. If there's one tassel off of it, that we can't get to sit exactly right.
Mhm.
And I think that's a sign too that people just in general, if you're choosing to nitpick on that, you don't have enough to worry about, or you're choosing to focus on the wrong thing. I'm never going to make a person like that happy. That let's just put it that way. There's going to be a scene that's just because there are so many details in what we do.
Yeah,
It's not that I'm
welcome
not
to
going
our
to do.
world.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to do a great. It's not. I'm not going. Of course I'm going to do a great job, but our job is it's very difficult to get 100% right all the time, and some things are subjective. So I can assure you that something the way a pleat would hang, um, the way a pillow should have been 1 inch larger. She would have been she would
She
have
would have
been
been telling you
discussing me.
about it for years to come, right?
Yeah, and
And
that's
writing
not worth
reviews
it.
on Google and all of that stuff. So
Yes, exactly.
yeah, so
And
you knew. So that's awesome.
yeah.
So why don't you take us a little bit back if you can. So we've been working together for actually quite a while,
Hmm.
at least a couple years, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I don't remember exactly, but we met as friends during COVID.
Yeah.
And actually even before that probably, but I think I started working with you. I really think it's been closer to 3 years now.
Yeah. So, just a note for anyone listening, we're like the Hotel California. You can check in, but you never leave.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
we don't ever, yeah, everyone likes to hang out and stick around, but take the listeners back. Like what made you, if you can remember, like what made you seek, I know you've done coaching, you're very well read, you listen to lots of podcasts, like just like a lot of other designers, learning is definitely a secondary passion and just being better at what you do. But what made you seek out coaching? I know that we knew each other, so I had a program that you were interested in, but what made you seek coaching at that time? Do you remember what was going on in your business that you were like, I need to just not talk to designer friends, but I need more strategic advice?
It was all you, Pam. It was all you and your wiseness. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you
Um,
qualify that a little bit more?
I can,
I
but
don't
you
know.
actually, you always have a really unique perspective. And I've always, I mean, I like you as a person, of course, but you always have a really unique perspective coming in that's different than other people's. And I've just noticed that even from my design friends,
Hmm.
and I have a lot here in my town of Knoxville who I really love. They're great. But, well, there's two things behind that. Number one is that's not really where I want to go for my advice all the time is my local people because there are some
Hmm.
things that I needed a safe place, so that was part of it.
Yeah.
Number two, I think you always have a good perspective, um, and I don't know, I'm just making up numbers now, but number three, I'll say I love the group dynamic,
Hmm.
of being in a group with other professionals who can offer some different perspectives.
Hmm.
Uh, so that was part of it. I knew I was having issues at the time around boundaries. I knew I was taking some jobs that I shouldn't have.
Hmm.
I knew I was not making as much money as I should be,
Hmm.
and I knew that I was just there. There's as always, there's a laundry list of issues because this is a hard business,
Yeah.
and I think it is really. I don't remember the one specific thing that made me say, "Oh, I've got to go to Pam." I need this
Yeah.
now. But I have really enjoyed being part of that group. And you may remember better than I do, Pam, on why particularly I started. But I think I wanted bigger, better projects, and I wanted to like my business more. And I was approaching burnout, and
Yeah.
I wasn't having a great time for a while there, and wanted to grow. I think that was the other part. I think that I came out of 20
Yes.
kind of in the 2018 2019. I came as I got empty nested, which was beautiful. Um, and suddenly I found out, hey, we're really good at this. I really like doing this kind of work. And we had been kind of small before that. And as we came to that era, I was like, okay, it's time for me to grow. And growing is challenging, going from just a one person to going to a team.
Yep.
It helps to have some guidance along the way for that. And the things I was doing weren't working. I was still, before I came to you, taking on more small projects. I think that was part of it.
Yep.
And I was not doing those things that you have kind of encouraged me to do on we've got to qualify this. I definitely was not qualifying clients before well at all before that. There's no question. I was the yes woman. Yes, I would love to
Well,
help
do
you.
it. Yeah, you were being the
$3.
proper
I'll go shop.
Southern. Yeah.
I'll go to the dollar store with you. Sure. I have
And I
no
can't
idea.
imagine why I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I
You're
don't
like, oh,
understand.
yeah,
Explain this. So, yeah. So I think that was one of the
I think
biggest
you're right.
reasons,
Hmm.
and definitely on the boundary side, that was the. I think I was a hot mess and needed a lot of help, Pam.
You're hanging out in the ditch way too
I
long.
was. I was way in that ditch.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think one of the things that sticks in my mind, and I think you've learned a lot of lessons along the way, is that you really wanted to scale. You
Hmm.
had some people working for you. Um, you had a few designers that you looked up to who were scaling very successfully in their
Hmm.
businesses. So you wanted to emulate what was happening with those other businesses. And I also think that during that time, as you tried to scale, and this is probably, around the time that we started working together, maybe a little bit, in the beginnings of this, but you're realizing that maybe it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Hmm.
Quality over quantity. It's not just taking every job and having five butts in the seats, because there's a lot of other things that come along with having a bigger business with lots of staff.
Yeah.
Because then you have to bring in so much more business to cover the people that are sitting, in the office helping you do all these things as well. So I think you also learned that there's a difference between I want $1 million business versus I want a business that's profitable, that I
Hmm.
enjoy, so that I can do the work that I love and also not be chained to the desk 24/7.
Yes.
Did
I
I
think I think that does.
paraphrase that correctly?
Yes, you did. Yes, and I think that's a hard thing, and I think it's a constant in that growth cycle of wanting to grow. And there's an element of I want to do better projects. Um,
Always. Yeah.
and I want to do projects that make my heart just happy, and that's
Hmm.
a wonderful thing. And searching around on such, you and I have talked about this before, but searching when we have a lower budget for a project, I still want that project to look amazing, no matter what. My name's going to be on it, and I was trying to accommodate those budgets that weren't what they should. I didn't have any confidence behind my pricing at that time when I started
Hmm.
with you, and I was trying to accommodate those lower budgets and lower fees, and still trying to knock it out of the park and make it look like $1 million.
Right.
And the problem that I was finding with that is I can still make it look great. I can do things on a budget if I need to, but I have to work a lot harder for that. And
And when
it
you're not being compensated for it,
yes, and
it's
I will do that. I'll do that for my kids. I will do that for friends and for children, but it's not a good business model. And but yeah, I was working way too hard to make silk purses out of sow's ears. And that's, I think, where that was a challenge for me, that I'm like, I really had to get in my head that it really is a luxury. And I don't think I had that mentality before, that, you know, not everyone gets to work with an interior designer. You need to be spending money I now have this attitude. You need
yes.
to freely spend this money and invest it in your home. And you have to see that there's a payoff for that.
Mhm.
I just recently was on a discovery call with someone, and she actually said out loud, she goes, well, she asked what her design fees were going to be on the room, and I just said, well, typically for a room that size, they're going to range from $5,000 to $8,000.
Mhm.
And first, I heard her voice crack,
Did you
and then
go,
I heard,
was there the
yes,
gasp?
that one. Oh, and she
That's
said,
not
well, I'm
flag.
yeah,
Hello. Yep.
exactly,
Here
exactly.
we
And
go.
then she said, well,
Think about it.
I'm just going to have to really I'm really going to have to think about that to justify your design fee. And I just thought, how insulting, ma'am. You called me. And
Yeah.
I, of course, didn't say that, but it was a really obvious highlight that this was not a client. And so,
Mm.
interestingly, I actually, because she was very limited on budget, it was already tight. She was not an ideal client for us, but I was able to refer her to a friend at a local furniture store
Yeah.
and say they offer those, the free design services there, and that may be all that you need, because she didn't need
Yeah.
me. But that was a nice revelation, because I promise you, 3 years ago, I would have just told her, "Oh, I will make you a client." Well, I'm sure we can work it out.
We can
Um,
figure something out, right? Those are the
I would
worst
have
words to tell anybody. We can figure it out.
I would have completely taken her 3 years ago, no question, and taken on that job. And then I would have been, and also, that is a different type of client, because that client she had saved for this room, and it
Yeah.
wasn't no money, but to her
Everything.
it was everything she had saved, and she gets to do this once. And so there was going to be a lot of anxiety on her part, and I could already hear it in her voice, on letting go of those funds.
Hmm.
And that's great for her. I'm glad she's going to get a new living room. She's worked hard. She's saved for it. That's wonderful. But it was not going to be a fun process for us to be involved in. And I know she'll get good advice, and she'll get what she needs where I sent her, but it was not for me.
And such a great lesson. And for those of you listening, um, we all go through this. Alfie's been doing this for how many years, Alfie?
20, 25 since I was
25. Okay, 25 years still, like it's still a process, but it's also, I think, really liberating when you can be like, oh, not a good fit. Because then
Mhm.
you also know, because you've been through this a few times, which is you're not getting really paid what you want. So you're kind of walking into the project a little bit, quite honestly, everyone gets a little bit like snarky about it because they're like, I'm not even getting what I'm supposed to be getting.
Mhm.
Then you've got to deal with an anxious, fearful client who is paralyzed to make a decision because they don't want to make a wrong one, because this is the forever room.
Mhm.
And, their whole heart and soul is into this. And then they stress you out because they're emailing you or texting you 100 effing times a day because they're like, is that an inch or is that 3 inches? And where's that thing going? And
Yes.
so recognizing that after having gone through it, and for those of you, I doubt there's anyone listening that's never gone through this, but if you haven't gone through it, We can tell you till you're blue in the face that you shouldn't take these jobs, but to be honest with you, you'll figure it out once you've had a few
Well,
of
I
these
had to
under
learn.
your belt.
It took me a long time. It
Yeah.
took me a long time to learn that. It
Why do
really
you
did.
think that is? What was the feeling behind that? Were you concerned that there wasn't going to be any other work behind it, or were you concerned about being like mean and very unsouthern, or what do you think the feeling is behind, taking every job and just sort of trying to make it work?
I think it's a combination of things, and I think that is, yes, I don't want to be mean or unsouthern, and we want to help people. We're helpers by nature. We wouldn't be doing this if that wasn't in our being. That we want, and we have the ability. And so you say, well, God gave me these talents. I
Share
need to
them.
share them with the world. And that's we tend to be helpers by nature, and we immediately when we walk into a room
Hmm.
we can solve their problems. We see what's wrong, and
Yeah.
it seems like it is easy for us. Because that's where our skill
Yes.
set lies.
Yeah.
Um, it's not
And that's
easy.
why it gets devalued, to be honest with you, because we
Hmm.
can make that decision so very quickly
Yes,
that clients are like, you just did this in like 4 seconds.
yes,
Yes, but 20 years to get to
yes,
this point, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But and that is one thing I have learned also is that. But yeah, I think we want to help people, and I think I'm an eternal optimist. I always like to see the best in people, and
Yeah.
so I have ignored those. And I know we're over red flag, red flag, red flag, but I have ignored those cues before
Hmm.
that have really
Shaded. Yeah. Where they're,
been
what's
there
really
because
like,
you
right?
want to see the best in people. And you think, oh no. I literally had a client hang up on me once, and I went, I think she must have accidentally hung up on me.
Nope, she did not,
It
Alfie.
did. And I called her back, and she said, no, I hung up on you. And it took me a really long time because I had been that person's designer, and that one was a very difficult one that you probably had to hear way too much about.
Hmm.
Uh, but I had a client that wasn't that I should have ended that relationship. We just didn't have we weren't like minded. I might be mad at someone, but I don't think I've ever hung up on anyone. I mean, within recent since I was 16, you
Right.
know,
Yeah. Right.
so
Not in a business setting for
and
sure.
it certainly wasn't anything. It was not a hang up offense. It's not like it
Yeah.
wasn't like there was no reason for that. I was just giving some news that was about a deadline that she didn't want to hear that was out of my control. But anyway, I digress. But I should have seen that beforehand and could have saved myself a lot of anxiety over that. And
Well, there's
um,
that too. We
yeah,
tend to think, and as we're optimistic that, all right, we're nearing the end of this project, I can wrap
hmm,
it up, and you're
yes,
always hopeful that you can wrap it up quickly, and then it's,
yes,
4 or 5 months later,
uh
still
huh,
not wrapped up, and you're like, what do I do now? Now I'm too
hmm,
far down the road.
yes.
Um,
I
so
don't know
let
what you're talking about, Ham.
I
This
don't
has
now. What
never
is
happened to
happening?
me.
What is who are we? We're talking to the every designer, right? I hope there's some nods going on in
Hmm.
the audience because I mean, we've
Yes.
everyone, myself included, we've been there. And sometimes the universe brings those lessons back again and again and again until we figure it out, right? So I want to do talk about, so y'all, like Alfie does, she's learned many things. She has grown incredibly mature as a business person in terms of how she approaches her business now. So I want to talk about some milestones that's happened over the time that we've worked together. So big one is fees. You had created minimums in terms of purchasing because Alfie does like to stay on the furniture, accessories, soft goods side of her business. That's really where she wants to be fully focused. And she had some minimums in place for purchases, which I thought was a good place to start. The issue was that she was not sticking to the minimums. Like she's like, I have these, but then she would talk to a client and like, but they don't have that, so we're gonna do this. And I'm like, wait a minute, what happened to the boundaries? So I think
Hmm.
the growth now is that you have a minimum spend on your purchases, which I think anytime we can give a client a container of where our services start or what's required, whether it's number of rooms, whether it's dollar amount, minimum design fees, that just kind of it sets the tone of this is who I want to work with. And if you don't fit in that, then we're probably already a not a good fit, and that's only comes with experience, and you're just realizing that that's more of your sweet spot client is when they have the minimum spend, totally cool with that, or the number of rooms and the fees that you're charging. So now you're not hedging as much
Correct. Yes.
on
You,
the
and
fee.
because I know I'm going to have to answer to you in a
I don't
coaching.
yell though. I just
Not
give you
not
the mom
often.
look, right? Like I give
No,
you
but
that look.
it's the
What?
shame. It's the shame of having to tell the truth if I've done it, I think. Yes, we have been much more successful in doing that. And just from an economy of scale, I think in the past we probably before I know 3 years ago that I was taking projects with a $10,000 minimum spend,
Yeah.
and that's no longer the case.
So
We
where
are
are you at now, if you don't mind telling me?
50. Now
So that's a five times.
I might backslide. I might backslide to 40 once in a while, but I'm not going to backslide to 10.
Yeah.
So, yes, no, I'm much better about qualifying that up front. And we actually, because of we actually now send out email, and we send out a even a pre-welcome packet. I
Packet.
forgot what it's called.
Shock
Sorry.
and awe box kind of thing, or like you're just setting the tone for your first meeting, right? This is how
Yeah.
we're working and all of that stuff. Yep.
Yeah, it's the what to expect portion, and so we send that out even, and I've noticed beautifully, it's just a email as soon as they book a discovery call. We
Hmm.
make sure that they have a here's some of the things that it's like to work with us, and we send out that email. And I've noticed over the past 6 months we've had several people cancel those appointments after getting that, because it does mention in there that most of our projects range in this department.
Yep.
Most of the rooms are going to cost about this much, and here's where we work, and here's the duration. And so some of those clients are they're actually canceling their discovery call before they talk to us, which I'm okay with that,
Hmm.
because if I don't have to hop on the phone for 15 minutes with someone who isn't going to be a client anyway, and I don't want to put someone else in a position of, I never want to make someone feel like they're not
Good enough, right?
good. Yeah, I don't want to be that person. And I
Yeah.
don't want to put them in the position of having to tell me no. I would rather, or me tell them no, that it's not going to work. I like to give them a safe exit. And so it gives them, I think the way we've talked about that now, where we've set that up, is they have a couple of safe exits. They see that and they go, oops, they can cancel that discovery call if we're not the right fit for them.
Hmm.
And even on the discovery call, sometimes we find out, and usually, I don't want to beg people to work for me. You either like me or you don't. And they're getting better at finding out. That was another piece of your advice that helped, Pam. We should talk about.
We will. We were for sure
But that
talking.
one, but it's just, I want to give people nice ways to self-select out if I'm not the gal for them, because it is a long-term relationship, and I don't want to lay in the ditch with you. Let's go have the
Do.
fun. Let's go on a fun ride.
Well, and I think that to your point, you now have the confidence along with this of not changing your fees or your minimums, is that you have very confidently understand what it takes for you to produce the type of work that you're comfortable with, that the level that you want your business to be known for,
Hmm.
and you're not willing now to do that for less than these minimums because you know how much time and effort and how much of yourself you put into every one of these projects.
Absolutely, yeah, and that helps a lot. There were just, like you said, trying to squeeze it in. Is it possible? Yes, but it's a lot of stress on the situation, and we're all limited on time. And um, I, we just don't have time to help everyone or do those. And
It doesn't
when
make
I
us
pre,
bad people. It's just
yeah,
that it makes us, it's just that we're being clear.
yep.
We're being much clearer. So let's circle back to how you stepping into your own personality and being yourself. It was interesting. I was at a conference recently and they talked about the house and how as designers we're our own house, and how the outside of our house looks a certain way, but the inside of our house a lot of times doesn't look as pretty and put together and all that as the outside of the house. But I want to talk a little bit about how you now approach, how you talk to people, how you present yourself, either with your content, in your discovery calls. We're not prim and proper Alfie, but we're just Alfie, right? Which is a little bit different, but very appealing, and to appealing to the right people, right? So you're stepping into you're not stepping into your personality because you always had the personality, but you're
Hmm.
allowing others to see that, right?
I think it might be part of that, the whole "we do not care" club anymore. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm
I think it's
after
also too, you're
50.
just like it's me. Like this is what you're gonna get. I mean, this
Yes,
is me, right?
It is, yeah. If they're expecting old school designer that's going to come in with, um, well, I'm just me. I'm a casual human, and
Yeah.
I think before we were trying a little too hard to project that super polished and more serious.
Prim,
Uh,
proper,
yeah,
perfect.
I don't know exactly. Yeah, it was that attitude, and
I'm
so
a
I did a
professional
lot.
designer, that
Yeah,
that sort of
woo,
air
you're
about, yeah.
amazing. And we still are amazing. So I'm not
Yes.
saying that, but
Oh, you
I
are.
think we are casual now. I think I'm not. I am me,
Hmm.
and I am gonna crack a joke, and I am gonna have a slightly inappropriate sense of humor. And I'm a real human. I mean, I'm just a real person, and I am even a little bit practical once in a while. But I do
A
love beautiful
practical
things. I know.
designer, get out.
I know. I don't tell. I love beautiful things, and I want to. I kind of joke that I will spend beautiful money on beautiful things, and that's lovely. There's a little bit of practical too. So I think I've just started being more myself, and we've kind of let loose on the social media a little bit.
Hmm.
And it was just interesting. I went to a client to a consult, and she just booked it right on. She didn't even do the discovery call. She just booked a consultation and paid for it. And so I have no idea who I'm meeting when I show up. And that's not ever happened before. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I met this lady, and she actually told, I said, well, hey, no one's ever done that before. What made that happen?
Hmm.
And she said, well, I just saw your videos, and she's like, I thought you would be nice and you wouldn't judge me too harshly.
Yes. That's what
And
everybody's
she
worried
thought,
about.
and
Yes.
she liked my person. She liked my sense of humor, and we ended up. She's somebody I would love to have coffee and lunch with, and we did a beautiful project for her. And she was just so pleasant. I thought that was nice. She was not, but apparently that's what she found appealing about us
Yep.
was that approachability.
Yep.
And I wasn't showing that before. So it worked out really nicely. And I thought, okay, Pam was right. Dang it. Pam was right. Uh,
Oh, I don't know how many times I can hear
I
that.
know. Do
Say
you
it
need me to write it
again.
for you? I'll write it down. Send it to you in a card. Uh,
But you, I mean, I've just been saying, Alfie, you're so fun. You have such a great personality. People will love that. And
yeah,
I
I
know
think
you
I was
were worried
afraid.
about it,
Yeah,
but I'm
I
glad you
was.
stepped into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just worried about it from people if they don't think I'm serious. I am serious about our work, but I was afraid that if I kind of let that more irreverent,
Yes.
funny, what I do have a sense of humor. I get it from my mother. She was awful, inappropriate sense of humor in a good way and hilarious. So, I was just afraid if people saw that they wouldn't think we were serious about our work, or they would think we were a bunch of big goofballs. Which there are times when we are, but when it comes to my
You
work,
are,
I'm.
but okay, so let's just talk about this a little bit because other people may be feeling the same way.
Mhm.
But that also comes through when you talk about different kind of rugs, or you talk about different kind of trim finishes, or you do an unboxing, or people look at your website. Like there's other ways that people are also seeing that you're serious about your
Mhm.
craft and that you do incredible work.
Yeah.
And as a small business, people want to do, business with people. And I think that as designers who are mostly in a small business, why not let your personality shine through? Because that's what is going to bring those people that love you, that want to hang out with you, that want to spend money with you
Mhm.
because of that.
I'm just gonna fly my crazy flag.
She's flying the freak flag, right? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
All
Yeah.
right. So one of the things I thought we could talk a little bit about, because this is what you've really gotten good about, is the boundaries of how you'll stand up for yourself. You'll understand who your ideal client is, not hedging on these fees and things like that. But we kind of
Mhm.
talked about it a little bit in the beginning. You had an opportunity that came up recently that was super exciting to
Oh
you,
yes.
and you did do put a fair amount of time and effort sort of researching this project and deciding if this project was for you. And I just thought that others could really relate to this story. So can you tell everyone a little bit about this opportunity that you had for a sorority to design a sorority house
Okay,
in
who
your
would not love this? Who would not
area?
get excited? You can just already see like pink and green tassel trim or whatever. You just it Yeah, I was super excited about it. Who doesn't love sorority colors and bright and fun and young? Yes. So I did. I had an opportunity. Someone referred me about redoing a sorority house, and after meeting with Well, number one, it was somewhat of a committee, and so there wasn't a clear direction. So I did um, meet with them and do a walkthrough and say, oh yeah, no, we could do this, 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 and but what I needed, and I wanted to do it. Y'all know I wanted to do it because who
Oh yeah.
doesn't want
Let
to
me
do
just
it?
say
It's so
she
fun.
really wanted us to
I
say
do.
that,
I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
give her the okay.
I wanted everybody to tell me, yes, but what I couldn't get out of it, number one, it was in a bid situation. Nothing wrong with that. That's great. But in our normal residential design and daily life, we are not doing work that we are going to do for free. So that's not normal for us to do it. So there would have been an outlay of capital and time and resources and energy on and just doing free design work in order to present it against other firms to see if we got the job. And don't get me wrong, we could have done it. I would have knocked it out of the park. I already had it in my head all done. Um,
The
but
quality is not there. The quality of the output
yeah,
wasn't the concern.
it wasn't. There were just already some things in there that I think number one, the committee did not understand. I couldn't get a number. I didn't know if we were doing a refurbishment, if we were doing a full gut, if we were doing 2 rooms, if we were doing 3 rooms.
Mhm.
There was very little direction in the scope. And it was, oh, there was a lackadaisical attitude, even though I tried to explain it multiple times, but there was oh, well, you can just pick cheaper fabrics. I'm
Or
like,
it'll be fine.
yeah,
It'll
it'll be
be
fine.
fine.
No, it will not be fine. So
No.
stressful. And I almost still did it. I almost was like, oh, I can still, I'll just give you floor plans for all 3 rooms. And I'll just go ahead and pick all three. And luckily, I had you in my life to say, think about this woman. But I couldn't get a firm budget. I couldn't get a firm scope of work. And I was going to do an outlay of time and energy that we may or may not get.
And you're busy too. I mean, you were also were saying, I'm busy and I don't know how I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
handle these couple of things that are happening. So I was like, all right, so coupled with that as well,
Yes,
do you really want to do work on a job, carve out time for a job that's going to take you away from the things that the clients that are paying you that you're
exactly.
worried
And you
about
made me
as
see
well?
that. Oh, it's called coloring. I was going to go color. I
Yeah.
wanted to go color. Oh,
Yeah.
it would have been so much fun. I would have just goofed off and I would have done it without a firm return. And you're right. And what I did when I did say no to that, because I it wasn't, you're right, it wasn't a good fit. And it had there were other things that I should have probably considered. It had a very tight timeline on install. Um, Again, and working for a committee, which is always more challenging than working just for an individual.
Yeah.
But, I tried to explain that was really hard. I said, I know we're going to miss our target because there is no target. So I'm going to propose something that's way too expensive, that's the wrong fabric, and then I'm going to have to go back and value
Do it
engineer
again.
it,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a nightmare. And dealing, and then finding a fabric that 10 people on a committee like, it just it wasn't great for me. And luckily y'all were there because I guarantee you, if I hadn't had you in my life, I would have been
You'd have been like, yeah, I'll do it. But the funny thing is,
presenting mood boards right now.
yeah, the funny thing is she sent off the note that said, thank you for the opportunity, but this doesn't seem like something I can take on right now. And the woman came back and was like, but wait, we're gonna pay you and we're gonna do this. It was a lot of like, don't go away.
Yeah. Well,
You're like, yeah, sorry. I've already
uh,
decided.
no, they were lovely, and I hate to, you like I said, I hate to tell anybody no, but I can't work the way I can't work with your. I have to work, and I think that's what has been helpful is those boundaries. I can't work by your crazy route, and I'm not talking about this person in particular, but I had another client earlier this year that had me running in circles, and I did finally that was in my fire happy stage.
Hmm.
Um, but a client who was insistent for some reason that she knew the process better than me and had us running almost, I mean, it was a fight to not run in circles on
Yeah.
trying to do. I'm like, listen, no, wait a minute. I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for 25 years. And so people who aren't willing to work within our process, and so yes, it really is important that we have a budget first. Yes, it is important. And I had the other one that I had issues with was someone who I had told right in the beginning, this is not a realistic budget for what you want to do.
Hmm.
And she kept bringing up, well, now that I'm so over budget, finally I had enough and I just said, listen,
You're not over budget. You didn't have a
told you
realistic budget.
since the very beginning that you were over budget. And
Hmm.
I'm not the one making these decisions. You are approving every number before they come. This is what it costs. You're not being ripped off. This is a great value. It's going to go back into the value of your home. You said yes, we decided on this. So stop talking about it because it's a non-issue at this point.
Yeah.
It's not.
It
So
was still an issue for her, right?
it was, and it was really frustrating, and it became. I mean, it very much became an issue, and that was one when I ignored some early signs that that might not be a great project for me. That was me. That was my first jump into the ditch.
And you're like, I don't want to, no. This,
And so of 2025. So I got out of that ditch and I'm intent on staying out of it. But it was, at least I realized it a lot sooner than I would have.
mhm.
And the projects, we did get her to a point where we were able to hand off construction documents and everything worked out fine. The contractor was able to go ahead and execute those. But it was just not, it wasn't going to work. So yeah, and you hate when it ends like that. But in retrospect, well, we are all, again, still learning. But you're helping me to identify those places before I go jump in there. So
Yeah.
thank you for saving me from the sorority house. I'm sure it would have been.
I was just like, this, I mean, yeah.
Oh,
There were so many things that just seemed like like you said, coloring. It was just a distraction that sounded appealing to you because
mhm.
it sounded fun and creative.
Oh yeah,
But I think once you really got into it, it would have been, well, first of all, you would have done all this work and not even known if you have gotten the job, and then whether or
right.
not they were going to take your concept and then just have somebody else implement it because they came in
Mhm.
cheaper. So that's a
Yep.
whole nother portion of that. But yeah, let's spend the time on projects with clients that we don't have to convince, like to your point, that we don't have to convince multiple times. Now, there's a difference between education and convincing.
Mhm.
Somebody that just is open to say, I really don't know what it's, I haven't done a project in 30 years. I really don't understand. Please help me understand. That's different than, well, I don't think I can
Mhm.
justify the number you've given me.
Right.
That's a different type of client.
Yeah, and
Um,
that was the challenge there on that one that that we ended up parting ways because she wanted to do a primary bathroom for a very low number, and I just said with these finishes that you're
it's
talking
not
about,
possible.
it's absolutely not possible. You're really closer, to a much larger number. And
And how many
she,
people in our industry would tell them, sure, we can do that, and not really fully explain to them that with the finishes that they wanted, they could not get to that number.
yeah, and I think that's where I'm starting to be a little bit better of just telling the ugly truth right in the beginning and just saying,
Mm,
here's the
save some
news.
headaches. Yeah.
And it is, and that is part of, I think, where I've gotten better at qualifying and going ahead and throwing out some realistic numbers saying, are you okay with 6 grand on a sofa?
Yep.
Finding those things out really early. If they go, oh, I would never pay more than $2,000 for a sofa, then that tells us nothing wrong with that.
Go do it.
Go have fun.
Yeah.
It's
You can't have
possible.
the extra layer. I would say that you, as the service that we're providing, it's an extra layer. And for that, there's compensation.
Yep.
And if there's no room for that compensation, then it's not a good fit.
Yes. And I think part of that too that you've helped me to look for, and having the group in general, just to tell me is where's the
Yeah.
not it is a luxury service. Not everyone gets to have us. And so finding those
And
people who
that's
really
okay.
appreciate that and people who think you're awesome, it is so much more fun to work with people who think you're awesome,
Yeah.
who think you're amazing. And they were, and you want to go out of your way to please those people because you love them too. I mean, you're like, oh, it just makes it all a win-win. It's so much more fun to come to work to every day when you have people like that versus the people who, when you really are trying to do good work, undermining you. So finding your right people it's so important. So
Incredibly
cheers
helpful.
to being out of the ditch.
Yes. Cheers.
Yes.
Woo!
Yep.
So how do you feel different about your business now than you did even at the beginning of the year, which is about 8 months ago or even 6 months ago? Like, how do you feel differently now? Where do you feel that you're at now that you weren't before?
I feel great about things at the moment. I'm much more positive about where things are, and I think some of that retrospective, looking back to what we did right and wrong last year, and then knowing what we're going to move forward. So the ditch. Right now we've got 3 good new furnishing projects
Yep.
with draperies and with rugs and all the finishing touches, just full service projects in that department where there isn't a lot of remodel involved, which is really my favorite place to be.
Hmm.
We can do the remodels, but sometimes they're harder for me. That's just not my. I could do rooms of that. The other stuff just comes naturally and really easily for me. All those pretty fabrics, bring them to me, and furniture frames
And you can
and
do
all.
them when you do that other stuff. You have to bring in a lot of extra help too,
Hmm.
because it's not as, it's not second nature to you. And so you want to bring other people in to help you with that.
Absolutely. So I feel really good about that and where we're headed, and I feel good about my ability to that I am being more careful, and I don't feel like the I'm never I'm not taking people out of fear I'm not taking on jobs out of fear anymore of, oh, that we won't. There are enough jobs. The phone rings enough. The right things will land. Right after I said no to the sorority, and we were already busy at that point, but literally right after I said no, we had another ideal client call who needs furnishing and wants
Yes.
it by Christmas. And I would not have had time for that. So I think sometimes
Didn't we
saying,
even say that? We're like, this is going to open you up for an opportunity to take
I
on.
don't think we said it, but it sure
Oh, I
did.
think we
Oh,
did.
you did. Yes, then you did.
I think so. I was like, don't worry. Like, this is just going to open you up for another opportunity. That's
Yes.
better.
We did not say it on the podcast, but yes, it was said during during our calls.
I did.
Yes. And
Yeah.
that's what I love. And I have loved working with you and having you as a resource in my life because it does help. We talked about it real briefly at the beginning, but
Mhm.
when I was looking for coaching, I do have friends here in Knoxville, but
Yeah.
there's a kind of a joke, and it's not, but you don't want to let everyone see you bleed,
Yeah.
and don't ever let them see you bleed.
Yeah.
And so I don't. There are just things that maybe I wouldn't be as comfortable asking a friend
Sharing.
here in
Mhm.
town locally
Mhm.
about, or when it is a real legitimate heartfelt problem, because it's nice to have a really safe place to go outside of your immediate area where you can say, hey, gals, am I on track for this? Am I wrong? Is there a reason? You can take some things that maybe that are more difficult issues and discuss them really candidly in a very safe place. And I think you've been amazing for that. And just having some extra people to bounce things off of.
Mhm.
And I know I send you a text once in a while or give you a call and go, tell me no, Pam.
Help me out here. Well, I think too, like it's great to have designer friends locally, and I think honestly, I think your situation is probably very unique because a lot of people tell me that they don't have
Mm-hmm.
anyone locally that they can talk to. But I think also that when you're talking about pricing and markups, and maybe a client that's put up a bad review or said something that is not great,
Mm-hmm.
to talk about that with people in your market is a little more difficult as opposed to, people, because we do have designers from all across the country.
Yeah.
We're not in the same markets. So that sense of competition is really not there. I mean, we're also, I think everybody's very open and very giving, and they're the types of designers that want to help others.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also not that layer of, well, what if I want that job that you're going after?
Mm-hmm. Right.
We don't really have that, which is also
Yeah.
helpful.
And one other thing we didn't touch on this, Pam, and I wanted to mention it was just about where I have learned things from our group. I think just hearing everyone else come through and talk about their projects and the size of their projects, and oh, I just did $100,000 design fee, or oh, I just did this. I think it has helped me to realize what's possible and to say,
Mm.
hey, I'm just like these gals, and we are. I mean, we're all
Yep.
equally kind of experienced, and we all have certain strengths in certain ways and certain weaknesses in others. But I'm like, if so and so can get $100,000 design fee out of this, why am I not doing that? Am I worse than she is? And the answer is no.
Yep.
And I noticed I mentioned it to you specifically, but one of your newer designers I was so impressed by her confidence, and she does not have anywhere near the length of experience as I do. And she is a much better business owner in that capacity than I am, as far as like just standing her ground and saying, no, this is what I do and this is what I do it for. She's very confident in her pricing,
Right.
and it's really neat to see that. And I'm like, why do I have a problem with this when someone who has much less experience with me? So it was a good motivator. It was a good comparison to see that and say, well, wow. And she's awesome. And she is going to be amazing when she's been doing this for 25 years. I
Yeah.
mean, she already is amazing, but when she's been doing it for 25 years, I can't even dream of what her confidence, but watching that confidence was really inspiring to me to go, hey, this girl knows what she's talking about. It was just, that was a neat experience I wasn't expecting. And actually, that happened in Naples. So, and just as
Yes.
a reminder, that I saw that, and it was really striking.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. So I want everyone to think about you are the five people that you hang out with, right?
Hmm.
And if you have people who are doing things in your group that you want to do yourself and you see them doing them, it does. It makes you think, oh my God. So people are paying, these fees. People are getting these types of projects. And also to your point, even the one that you mentioned about the $100,000 project, she
Hmm.
wasn't going to charge
No.
$100,000. She wasn't going to charge anywhere near $100,000. But again, like she had the advice of the group and me and the other designers saying, let's talk this through.
Hmm.
Let's talk about what you're really going to charge and why that might not be the best choice because of all the time and effort. And I think you even had a situation where we were talking about it before you came on. You were going to charge $7,000,
Hmm.
and as we talked through, because this happens a lot, like even in on the Facebook groups where there's a lot of crowdsourcing, which is like, what should I charge? But
Yeah.
there's no details. And that's really where the time comes into figuring out what your design fee is going to be. And I think that you came in and said, I have this project. And of course we asked a million questions.
Hmm.
I'm going to charge 7,000. And I think you ended up charging, what did you say?
23.
23,000.
I just read it, 23. Yeah,
Yep. So that's three times what you were going to charge
it was.
if you weren't in this group.
Yes, and I absolutely earned every dollar of that too. And
And we
so I
know you
can't
did.
even imagine if I had charged the seven.
Mhm.
And again, that was part of that optimism, that eternal optimism of thinking, oh, it won't take that long. Well, yes, it will. And I think that's one thing that it's great to be surrounded by people who are asking those hard questions. Well, wait, did you think about this? What could go wrong? Because I think I
What
tend
could
it,
possibly, well, that's the thing. We think it's like, we
oh,
think of our fees as the best case scenario,
mhm,
where we should not be thinking that way because
right.
it's never the best case scenario. It's not smooth sailing the whole time,
I
right?
know. We wouldn't have jobs if everything went off as without a hitch all the time, and
This is true.
that's the reminder. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really helpful. Yes, and I feel much more confident. And it is great to see if they can do it, I can do it. And
Yeah.
having all those resources at hand is awesome.
Yeah, and you touched a little bit briefly. So Alfie was at the Naples experience that I hosted. It was just a few months ago, actually, right? Was it
Hmm.
just a few months ago? We're going to be doing another one. I think it's going to be in May of 2026. So maybe you could just give people a little idea of, and it's the second one. This is the second one you've been to. So tell people like what did you see after you went to this experience? This is our in-person event where we bring everybody together. What was some of the things that happened this year that you were like, I'm so glad, I got on a plane and
Yeah.
got in a hotel and, got out of the office? Like, what were the things that made it worthwhile for you?
Gosh. Well, seeing your beautiful face, that was one of them. But
Oh,
other than that, yes. Um, no, it was just we had, you obviously had a great agenda packed for us. It was lovely that we got to see things in, we especially, I enjoyed seeing the houses, especially
hmm.
when we learned about how
Word
working with
homes.
luxury realtors. That was absolutely amazing.
There's nothing like seeing a $19 million spec house or a
Yeah,
$35 million home
on the water.
and
Yes.
touching the finishes and looking at the details, right?
It was a really cool way to broaden. It's just a broadening of horizons, I think. I think you're just seeing things from an outside perspective and go, okay, there are people in the world who are just easily spending $35 million dollars on a home. And why am I not working for them?
One of
And
four homes, right? Or one of
yeah,
many homes.
well, exactly. Yes. And so that part of it, of course, was lovely. And I think I also really loved that, and I don't know whether this will be a repeated experience from next time, but that we spoke with a luxury builder in a very candid
Mhm.
situation on that was really helpful in knowing what they want to see from designers and what would make it easier for us to work together.
Yeah.
And so that was really insightful and not a conversation that I would have been comfortable having in my own market.
Yeah.
Um, I don't want to just call out some builders and say, why do you hate designers?
Yeah. why do we drive you crazy? And by the way, you drive us crazy too. I mean, I
Yes,
think we had that
yes,
discussion as well. So
yes, we did. Yeah.
it was a great place to do that.
It was. But I think some of and most of the conversations that we had, and honestly, this is we're on the boat, in the restaurant, walking to the bar, walking, you're just hearing how other people run businesses. It's those little nuggets you grab out of those moments
Yeah.
that you say, holy cow, that is a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? And, just hearing how someone else, silly things that are not silly, but how someone else does their drawing packet.
Yeah.
That was shared with me. And I'm like, why aren't we doing that way?
Yeah.
Things like just a little list that we use, sales, sales tools.
Mhm.
Here's my good, better, best list. There are just lots of things to talk about in there, and hearing just those little nuggets out of it are the best part. And being in a comfortable environment where when things come up out of the flow, you can go, oh, wait a minute, let me delve into that more. So that's what I enjoyed about it.
Being out of the office, I think you said specifically, I needed this, right? I needed to
Yeah, oh,
get
I
out of
did.
the
Yeah, I
office.
definitely did. I was feeling a little burned out. It's such a refresh, and it's inspiration. I mean, that's I think as designers, all of us as creatives, we crave seeing new things and beautiful new showrooms and beautiful. And you've got so many there that are amazing that we have. You can just see how people in South Florida set up furniture differently than they do in East Tennessee. You see different fabrics, you see different finishes, different rug vendors. I've actually found some amazing vendors when I was on the first trip that I have loved. There were fabric vendors that I had not seen in Knoxville before.
Yep.
So that was a great bonus as well. So yeah, there were a lot of advantages. I mean, it was fun too, and
We had a
you
great time.
yes, it's always. I mean, and that's just and you need to laugh, and you need to laugh with people who you're laughing with. So there's a lot of shop talk,
Yeah.
and
But
but
in
in
a
a
fun, relaxed
yeah,
environment.
yeah,
Yeah.
conversational. We were getting down and dirty on paint colors on the exterior houses and the canals.
Yeah.
Uh, what was wrong with trim? What was wrong with this color?
And
Why
we were
this?
on the water and we saw
Yeah,
sunsets, like all of that
there
stuff.
may or may not have been beverages involved.
There may or may not
Yeah.
have
Hmm.
all safely consumed.
Yes, of course.
So,
But yeah, it was just a nice, relaxing time to be able to lay back and talk about, hey, who do you use for this? What do you do for this? How would you handle this situation? Who
yeah.
does this for you? What person on your team takes care of this? What do you do when this X happens?
Yeah.
So yeah, just lots of great things.
Lots of laughs, lots of fun, lots of
Yeah.
learning.
Mhm.
So I just want to say that I'm really proud of the growth that you've done over the last couple years working together. I think that you are so incredibly committed to being the best designer that you can be, that it's really fun to be a part of this journey with you and see you grow and see you succeed and see things that happen that you never thought were possible for your business.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
kudos to you for putting in that work. And I'm excited to see what is going to come over the next several months. What would you say to people listening who are considering coaching, maybe concerned with the leap, considering joining the Luxury Client Academy? Is there any, and you've actually expressed several things along the way, but is there anything that you would like to add to that where people might be like, oh, I was worried about that, but I don't
No,
know.
just do it. Just do it. I think that's with any coaching. I think everyone is better when they're in a group, and we all have things to learn. I've been doing this 25 years, and I still get things I still take a page of notes every time we have a meeting
Yeah.
of things. Oh, I never thought of that. There there's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing
And there's no judgment either
oh gosh.
about you maybe feeling like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. And we're like,
Mhm.
okay, well, then now you know, right?
Yeah. And I think from one perspective I can speak to in particular is I did not go to design school. I actually learned this in the hard life of hard knocks. So I'm a little bit of a non-traditional designer.
Right.
I learned by doing, and I do residential interiors only for that reason. But there are a lot of technical details that I'm behind the eight ball on that I have to rely on youngsters who did go to school to take care of.
Mhm.
And so that might have been part of my trepidation of not joining sooner, not feeling like I was a real designer,
Right.
even though we've been doing this for a very long time, and our work speaks for itself, and I'm very confident in our work.
Mhm.
And when I don't know the answer, I know where to get it. And in fact, in groups like yours, That's where I
Right.
go.
You're not afraid to say,
Uh,
hey, I got this thing. What do I do now?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not at all, and I'm not embarrassed by that because there are people on. It is amazing the different skill sets. Anyway, but no, I just think it's really nice to have a safe place and to be able to ask questions honestly with firm numbers and being able to speak without reservation to say, hey, I'm going to charge $35,000 for this, and being able to really break that down in a private setting
Hmm.
with people who aren't your direct competition
Hmm.
is a lovely thing. And did you think about this? How much are you charging for this? So that's a really good reason. But no, I don't think there's any reason not to do it. I don't think that there's anyone, even if it was a person who was brand new, who joined a group that had more experienced people, heck, that's the best thing. That is absolutely the best
Yeah.
person to
Leapfrog
bring
up,
because,
right? Yeah.
yeah, just jump on in there. You're going to catch on really quickly. Please avoid the mistakes that I
Don't
made.
do what we did because
I have
it's really
25
not that
years.
fun.
I have
Not that
25
great.
years worth of mistakes to teach them. But what a great place to
Skip
be.
all of that. Skip all of
Yeah.
that. Go right to the profitable, amazing,
Hmm.
cool clients, right?
Exactly. No, I mean, and that is one, it's that paying for coaching is a bill that never even crosses my mind as being something that I don't that's not in the cut my budget. It's not one that I worry about. It is well worth every dollar. I mean, sometimes people, it's counseling for your business. I mean, come on, we're
Yeah.
all going to benefit for that.
Yep.
Sometimes it's counseling for your life too, but usually it's counseling for your business and
Yep.
what life brings to that. So no, it's not something that I would ever consider not doing because I get so much out of it. 3 years later, 3 years and 25 years of business in. So no, I don't really have any great reasons. Do you have reasons they shouldn't join your coaching program, Pam?
I think you're asking the wrong person. I think everyone can benefit from coaching. I mean,
No.
why not have an outside perspective? We get in our heads so much,
Yes, we do.
and then it's the loop and
And
this
that's what I
issue
liked about
affects
you
that.
always was the fact that you always had the weirdo. You had the weird perspective. You always said you have a different look. You think from a
I'm
different.
the weirdo. Did you just say
You
that?
are. I'm sorry, Pam. I did. I said you're the weirdo. You are. You're a good weirdo. It's a good
Okay,
weird.
that's cool. I'm the good.
Um,
Yeah.
no, but you always do have a unique perspective. Everybody, and I've seen this in several other people in my life. I think it's important to keep
Mhm.
people like that around you. But when the crowd thinks like this, you're always over here on the one. You've always got the different question or a different. You have a different take on it than the way my brain works, which I really appreciate
Mhm.
and respect. So yeah, yeah. No, I was teasing you, but I
I
think
know you
everyone
were. Of course you were. See,
absolutely.
there's her personality, everyone. So thank you so much, Alfie, for being here, for talking, and just being vulnerable and telling everybody about your experiences in your own business. If people want to find you, what's the best way for them to find you? And we'll also put that in the show notes, but
Oh, thank you. Everyone needs to find me. Indeed.
please find Alfie.
Yes.
Gotta look at, there's some things you need to see.
RowanHallInteriors.com. That's ROWAN Hall HALL Interiors.com. And of course, we're on the Instagrams, we're on the Facebooks, we're on the websites. We're all the places. Um, I'm definitely more. What you've heard today is on the Instagram. Or
Yes.
yeah,
Check her
that's where
out.
it is.
She's funny. She did a whole We Do Not Care just for interior designers. It's worth watching that in and
It
of
was
itself.
that was fun, and you encouraged me to do that. I wasn't sure if I could get away with it, and I had so much fun doing it because that's just. I hope
I
people don't
can't
know.
work be fun for sure. 100.
Yes, it
Well,
should.
thank
It
you so
should.
much, Alfie, for being here. I appreciate it. And we'll
Oh,
see everyone else next time. Thanks for
yeah,
hanging out
glad to
with
be
us.
here. Thanks, Pam.